we're talking about absolute value equations and inequalities. In Unit R, we defined absolute value as the distance a number is from 0, so that's your definition for today. And we're going to jump into our very important concepts. So here we have the absolute value of A is equal to A, and the absolute value of negative A is equal to A. So when solving absolute value equations, you're going to always have two answers because you're going to need to create and solve two equations. And don't forget that if you're dividing an inequality by a negative number, that you have to flip the sign. Our first example, we're solving an absolute value equation. We have the absolute value of 3x minus 9 minus 5 equals 22. Before you split up into your two equations that you have to write, you have to move this 5 over first to get the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides so that I get the absolute value of 3x minus 9 equals 27. And from here, I'm going to split up into two equations and write my two equations as 3x minus 9 equals 27 and 3x minus 9 equals negative 27, because whatever's on the inside of that absolute value sign can either be positive or negative. Then I'm going to solve both of these equations. So I add 9 and divide by 3. Over here I get x is equal to 12. Here I add 9 and divide by 3, and I get x is equal to negative 6. Both of these are your answers for x. Example 2 is a solve the absolute value inequality and write your solution in interval notation. So we have the absolute value of negative 2x minus 5 is greater than or equal to 5. So you're going to start by writing your two equations. You're creating your two equations. One of them is going to say negative 2x minus 5 is greater than or equal to 5, just as is, dropping the absolute value signs. And the second one is going to say negative 2x minus 5 is less than or equal to negative 5. You're going to switch your inequality sign, and you're going to make this number negative. And then you're going to solve both of them. So adding 5 to both sides, I have negative 2x is adding 5 to both sides. I have negative 2x is greater than or equal to 10. Then you have to switch the side when you divide by the negative 2. So I have x is less than or equal to negative 5. Here, adding 5 to both sides, I have negative 2x is less than or equal to 0. Dividing by the negative 2, your sign switches again, so you have x is greater than or equal to 0. It's super important to flip the sign. When you're graphing them on the number line, they're both, this is a less than or equal to, this is a greater than or equal to, so you're going to put your negative 5 and your 0 on the number line, and then you're going to make closed circles on both of them. Don't forget from the last lesson that whenever it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's a closed circle on your number line. And then this arrow points that way, so you shade to negative infinity, and this arrow points this way, so you shade to positive infinity. Because you have two different solution sets, we're going to use the union sign here. You're going to write the solution set to this, so we have parentheses, negative infinity to 5 with a bracket. Your closed circle means a bracket, and anytime you have an infinity, negative or positive, you use a parenthesis. Union, which we talked a little bit about last lesson, bracket 0 to positive infinity with a parenthesis. Again, 0 has a closed circle, so you have a bracket, and infinity, anytime you have an infinity, you have a parenthesis.